Okay. Hello everyone. So today we'll be looking at chapter two of the book of Dale by Dale Carnegie. So this the title of this chapter is How to Solve 50% of Your Business Problems Immediately. Yes, it might sound bizarre. So it might actually be misleading as the author is claiming that he can solve your 50% of your problems without even knowing what kind of business you do. It might sound bizarre, but the author is giving some general principles based on which, if if all the businesses are running, if they follow these principles, it might be running in a more efficient way, in a more easier way. So that is what the author is trying to emphasize in this chapter. Moving ahead, let's look at what the author is trying to say over here. So the author is giving two examples over here, the anecdotes of two people who themselves have given the statements, their own stories. And the author has used them as a tool to express his point of view. The first one is of a TV news, newspaper owner, company owner. So I'm not exactly able to remember his name, but the fact is that in his company, whenever there is the whole day, his usual day goes along in such a way that all the people who are working under him come to him with some sort of problem, and the entire day, almost entire day, is being spent only on discussing the problems and the viable solutions. And this will solutions for the problem, and entirely it was based on fully going on in discussion. Energy was fully being focused only on the discussion and finding a viable solution for the problem. But the author had been doing that for 15 years, and it had been tiring to him, and he didn't think that there could be an alternative way of approaching the same set of problems. Yes, he didn't think about that. But as and when he came across this particular method, yes, he felt that this method was more efficient. What he told his the people working under him is that if you need to bring a problem to me, you need to first answer four of the questions. First one, what is the problem? Exactly. So author is telling that sometimes the meeting goes on for hours and hours without knowing the what exactly is the problem itself. So it will be like 2 hours of pointless discussion. And second will be the answer to the question, what is the root cause of the problem? Yes, the root cause of the problem also needs to be explored. So that's what the author is trying to emphasize over here. Third question that the person who's bringing the problem must answer is that what are the possible set of solutions for this particular problem? So we need to see that there is not just one solution for a particular problem, but there are multiple solutions, and our options must be such that we must choose from one among all of them. Next, the last one will be which of these solutions does the person recommend? So, in an end-to-end, in these four questions, the author is making the person who's bringing the problem solve his own problem. So technically, 75% of the time, when a problem arises, the people, the his colleagues are themselves able to solve the problem without having to consult him or to consult further members of the organization. This had proved an vital technique for the next 8 years he had been the CEO of that particular company. And not only it increased his efficiency, but it also helped improve his mental state and become happy in the work job he is doing. So this is what we must understand. The answer to these four questions, that is, what is the problem? What is the cause of the problem? What are the possible solutions? And what is the best recommended solution for that problem? So these four questions will solve 50%, at least 50% of your business problems that you're facing. Next, he gives an anecdote from what do you say, life insurance person, a salesman, life insurance salesman. Technically, there was a point in his career that he was about to give up. He was making a lot of calls, he was making a lot of effort, and Somehow or the other, he was not able to make that target. He didn't, he couldn't achieve what he was expecting to do, and he was frustrated. He was exhausted, and he was in the verge of giving up. This was his condition. But instead of just giving up his profession, he took all the data of the past 1 years and sat down and peacefully analyzed. And there is one important point that he really found very vital for his next set of years in his career. And what was that point? What did he observe such that it changed his entire life? It changed his entire career, and it made him change his decision at that point of time. What is that point? So when he analyzed that of the past 1 years of sales record or the calls record, he observed that 70% of his sales were done finished in the first interview, and 23% were completed in the second interview. The remaining 7%, the 7% of the sales were done in the third, fourth, and fifth interviews, consultations, etc. So most of the time, the consultants, the people who he is like offering the insurance, will just tell him that in the closure of the meeting, they'll tell him that okay, we'll get back to you. Thanks for your consultation, and will I'll contact you as and when I require further information or for the person for a set of actions. So this is what his usual reply. Now he understood one important point that his 93% of his effort is residing in his first and second interviews. This was actually the key to his success in the next coming years. So what did he do next? What exactly did he do? So this he had identified a problem and he had identified the cause of the problem. The remaining 7% of the interviews where it took more than 3 or 4 consultations were exhausting him. So instead, he came to a conclusion that he will give at the max 2 consultations to one person. And if a person is not willing to take the insurance within 2 consultations, within 2 interviews, he will proceed and to move on to other people and to improve his sales. So technically, what it not only solved half of his problem, solved most of his problem, it also doubled his income from almost $2.8 per call to $4.8 per call. So this is something huge. So we can understand one thing is that the key to 50, at least 50% of your problems is the 4 questions. As listed out earlier, they are find your problem, find the cause of your problem, possible solutions, and the best recommended solutions that you want. So it varies from person to person, but this is the way we have to approach a particular problem without worrying in life. Yes, problems is the only thing that is constant in the world, and just the way in which the problem comes is different in different phases of life. But our if we find a way to tackle all the problems, then it's just a cakewalk. At least we can assume that a same principle can be applied in all the phases of life. So this is what the author is trying to tell us. So that is the end of the summary for chapter 2, and we'll look at the summary for chapter 3 on a later on stage. Thank you.